We love babies here at the zoo. Not only are they fun, not only are they cute, but they serve a really, really important role for the work that we're doing. When we talk about our mission of education and conservation, these babies play such an important role. The zoo has been under this amazing revitalization period over the last few years. We've actually invested about $20 million in capital improvements since 2018, and it's been remarkable. We've been modernizing habitats. We've been bringing in new amenities for our visitors. We just built a new restaurant. We've taken this once cute, community zoo that we all love to this modern zoological facility that we are today. And we're getting noticed. We're getting noticed not just locally, but regionally and also nationally. A zoo is more than just modern habitats and these amenities. It's about the animals. That's what people come to see. Our zoo has about 480 individual animals. We have about 130 species, but we have some pretty important breeding programs here at the zoo. Our painted dogs, our red pandas, Andean bears soon. We even have some reptiles that may be kind of off your radar. They're all part of managed programs. There's so much happening behind the scenes that I don't think people realize that's also making us this modern zoo. And it's these births. We have had more births in the last few years than I probably in the history of the zoo. We've had baby sloth, baby tamandua, success stories with our red pandas of raising little Raya, who actually made national news. Of course, we love it because it's shedding light on South Bend and shedding light on the Potawatomi Zoo, but it's bringing awareness to red pandas, and how proud are we to have that right here in our community.
As a zoo veterinarian, baby animals are definitely a rewarding experience, but they can bring some unique challenges. For most of our species, we want them to be raised by the parents as much as we can, so we tend to be very hands-off. So when I first started, we had a couple armadillos born right away, we had the tenmerks born pretty quickly, and we had the kudu calf, all of which are raised very, very well by their mothers and didn't really need a lot of help from us, so we just stepped in when needed for weights, exams, and vaccines. In September, we had the African painted dogs puppies born, which was a very, very different story.
We were pretty sure we knew we were going to have painted dog puppies. We were able to train our female Blue, our mother, to do ultrasounds, and then we also did fecal hormone testing. So the test results came back pregnant. We were reaching out to the species survival plan coordinator for painted dogs to develop a plan just in case we would have to hand rear these puppies.
When they were born, we kept a close eye on cameras, and as soon as we were able to very readily determine that she was not going to care for them the way that she needed to, we were on the phone right away with SSP and had a conversation with Jamie, myself, and the SSP coordinator to determine that the best step was to pull the puppies.
So we had been working with the species survival plan on this prior to even breeding our dogs, and they had given us the suggestion if we did have to pull them, that a surrogate would be the best option.
I spent the first night here with them, keeping an eye on them to make sure that everybody was still doing okay and trying to get them warm enough for initial feeds.
We started making those phone calls, reaching out just to see if anybody knew of a lactating female that we could borrow to help raise our painted dog puppies. And it was just unbelievable how fast the news spread, and I got a phone call within an hour of reaching out to people. And it was somebody who had Cassie, and within like 3 or 4 hours, she was here on grounds and had already accepted the painted dog puppies as her own and still had her puppies with her.
Once she was here, Jamie and I did the bulk of the overnights trying to make sure that the golden puppies and the painted dog puppies were all getting fed appropriately, everyone was gaining weight the way that they were supposed to, and just hitting all the developmental milestones. And then that continued on as we started to transition them onto more solid food. We did a lot of hand feedings with them, and it was Jamie, I, and the keepers that had been involved with all their hand raising. It was really just a lot of general oversight, but it was a lot of time involved to make sure that we didn't miss anything, because we didn't want to make sure these puppies had the best chance in life.
You know, painted dogs have not been born in zoos in over 3 years, so the sustainability of that species within zoos is really, really critical. And not even to talk about the story of them in the wild and how critically endangered they are. So many poor people now know about the conservation work that's being done with painted dogs than ever. We're contributing to the species, we're bringing awareness to the species, and it's a success for the zoo. Now there's a little bit of a misunderstanding that zoos breed animals because we're going to release them back into the wild. You know, and there has been several success stories of this. There's the California condor, there's the golden Panamanian frog, golden lion tamarins was another one that zoos actually bred in zoos and was able to release. But most commonly, we're not doing that. We're actually just trying to sustain the species that we have in zoos. For instance, our new Andean bear, there's only about 60 Andean bears in the country. If we don't really manage this program and recognize inbreeding, who should breed with who, it'd be very easy for us to no longer have Andean bears in zoos. And what does that do for conservation? Well, that's one less species that we can teach people about. That's one less story that we can tell. That's one less ambassador that we have in zoos to be able to get that message of conservation out there. So in accredited zoos, there's population biologists that work out of Lincoln Park Zoo that manage all of our species. They look at genetics, they look at bloodlines, they know what animals should be paired up, and that way we can make sure that in 100 years, all these animals are thriving in zoos.
The baby animals are very important to zoos, so we can talk about, why it's so important that we have these babies in the zoo, how they're serving as ambassadors for their species, and they are showing the public what's challenging these species in the wild and what they can do to help.
It allows us to open that door to start talking about rainforest conservation. It allows us to start talking about some of the other species that live in maybe their habitat that are starting to face extinction. So they really do play an important role as ambassadors for their species. Every time we have a birth at this zoo, it's a win for that animal. We know that we are contributing to the next generation of that species, and that's what it's all about. We want to make sure that our future generations, that our kids and their kids are able to see these animals in zoos. It's fostering our future conservationists. If we don't do that now, who's going to be saving these species down the line? And how do they save species if these species don't even exist? We have something pretty special here at the Potawatomi Zoo. Not only have we been building modern habitats for our animals and building on our guest experience, creating a zoo that our community can be proud of, we've become leaders in conservation. And this is just the beginning.